This documentary started with a conversation. I was talking to my neighbor about her childhood in Switzerland, and she casually brought up witnessing the rise of Hitler firsthand. Intrigued, I soon realized that many people in my life had a unique and often untold perspective of World War II, that of children. I realized that the people in my life had seen World War II from around the world, from Switzerland to China to here in the States. And I decided that I wanted to hear their stories.
I remember when it started, my dad was laying on this sofa, and we were listening to a Redskin game. And they interrupted the program and said that the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor and had bombed our ships and were bombing Hickam Field, and that there was substantial loss of life. My dad came up off this sofa and had a very loud and number of unkind words to say about the Japanese.
My father was sent to the U.S. as a weapon procurement for the Chinese government. And my mom brought myself and my brother to Shanghai. We lived with our grandparents, and our grandparents are not the loving kind of grandparents that you normally associate with. My grandmother was certifiably crazy, insane. She should have been in an institution in these days. My grandfather was not crazy, but he was kind of aloof. One time, I remember my brother and I sat there and watched my grandfather eating a bowl of noodle soup. We were very salivating. We were salivating because we have never seen such a nice big bowl of noodle soup. I mean, we were eating very simple food like rice and so on. He didn't offer a single bite to us.
You probably know that Switzerland was neutral, but they had a general mobilization of all men who were capable of fighting. I mean, they have a kind of a militia. Every able man between 18 and 46 has his uniform and his arm at home. And since I was born in 41, my father was away when I was born. So when it was over, I was 3, and then I basically met my father for the first time.
I remember all the people. As I say, lots of people. For one thing, we had to move. There was a drastic need of housing for all the people who flooded in to Washington during the war. So the family all moved together. In fact, we were so crowded that I slept in the bed between my aunt and uncle.
Shockingly, they would often say incredible things in the most casual of fashion.
When we were still in Chongqing, before we left for Shanghai. Now this was all told by me we had a nursemaid. The war was in full-blown stage, and the government retreated to Chongqing from Nanjing, and the Japanese would bomb Chongqing relentlessly. And I was told they would bomb when people are just ready to eat dinner, and they would start, the plane would come and drop bombs. And my nursemaid would tell me that she would hold me and hid under a table and say, "Oh, please let the bomb kill me and not my precious little girl here."
My parents continued helping Jewish children to get out. There was a smuggled route which went through Switzerland and then further, I think, to Spain, and from there to America. And my parents were part of that very much. They helped a lot. One of them would have to go to such and such place and pick up a kid and then take the train and go to Lausanne. I think they normally went down to Lausanne or Geneva and dropped the kid off there. And that I remember that they spoke about it. You know, they think the kids are asleep, you know that. Kids are asleep, they're not always asleep. Right? Right.
My clearest memory was one time I was with my mother in a rickshaw. You know, this is a kind of a vehicle with one person running and you have passengers sitting in the back. And I remember passing by this building that had a sentry in the front. And the sentry told the rickshaw puller, said, "Hurry, get out of here." And the rickshaw runner just picked up his pace and ran as fast as he could. And then I heard a shot. Well, what I now know it was a shot. I just heard bang. And I turned around and saw a guy fell down. Of course, at that time, I didn't know about shooting. Remember, there was no television. I didn't know what was a shot supposed to sound like. But from my mother's expression, the rickshaw's puller's reaction, you know, I knew that guy was killed.
But they all seem to agree. Kids, no matter the circumstances, will find a way to make do with their childhoods.
Ironically, you'd think there would be some fear or anxiety or anything like that. But at that age, I didn't have another childhood to compare with, not knowing what a childhood should be. So all child will consider their childhood is being normal.
Even though things might have been tight to the adults, children were protected. So it was normal.
Of course, I'd never been a child before, and so didn't know what things could have been like.
In hindsight, now, I feel sorry for you guys.